What's up, friends? This is Manoj Paprani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edipedia world. So, guys, it's a wonderful day outside, and I do believe that you guys are enjoying the day. So, guys, by now we have already covered the basic SFM chapter and bond valuation. So, all the topics, all the questions, all the examination questions which have been asked in CA final exams have already been covered regarding those two chapters. And in my last presentation, I have already started covering the topic mutual funds. This is the second video presentation relating to the topic mutual fund. In my last presentation, we did discuss about the topics relating to what is mutual fund, what are those companies who are dealing into mutual fund businesses, what is the advantage of mutual fund, what are the disadvantages of mutual fund schemes, what are the classification of schemes with which we can enter into mutual fund market. Those are open-ending schemes, close-ending schemes, and interval fund relating schemes. So now in this particular presentation, I'll be covering the next few topics relating to the chapter mutual fund. And before starting out and marking the beginning of this chapter, this presentation, I would actually like you to reiterate you of your promise, and that was regular and recurring revisions time and again, so as to ensure that you don't have to suffer during the CA final examinations. So guys, perfect. We'll just mark the beginning of today's presentation with the topic regulation of mutual funds in India. So guys, mutual funds are being regulated by Securities Exchange Board of India in India. The money market mutual funds are also regulated by RBI apart from being regulated by SEBI. So SEBI takes the overall control of mutual fund businesses, schemes, and the companies who are trading into mutual fund businesses in India. Apart from that, RBI also keeps a good watch on the money market related mutual funds. So guys, the mutual fund structure, let's talk about how and what is the structure of mutual funds in India. I've already presented you the picture regarding the same thing. In the outside circle, there is a unit holder and there is a SEBI, that is Securities Exchange Board of India. In the inner circle, these are the participants who take care of the entire security procedure in the system. One is sponsor. It has two right and left arm regarding trustee and AMC. AMC means Asset Management Company. Trustee appoints the mutual fund transfer agents and custodian. Custodian is a particular person or a kind of company which takes the custody of all the documents and relating things pertaining to mutual fund, market security and schemes. So mutual fund is being set up in the form of a trust which is regulated by SEBI. Mutual fund is established by a sponsor. The sponsor should appoint a trustee or board of trustees, and the sponsor or board of trustee should appoint an AMC. Here the AMC means the Asset Management Company. So let's talk about these regulations in a broader sense and let's understand what the structure of mutual fund is. So the structure of mutual fund in India is basically there is a sponsor who is responsible to float a mutual fund scheme. It has to put 40% of his net worth to set up the mutual fund. He appoints the trustees under itself, like a company, sponsor company appoints the board of trustees. Trustees are the persons who are responsible to regulate the mutual fund and make sure that it runs as per the guidelines and regulations set up by Securities Exchange Board of India. Trustees further take care of custodians and asset management company. A custodian is a company which actually holds the securities basically. And custodian and AMC, asset management company, they both work hand in hand, work together. Asset management is a company which actually takes or buys the selling and buying decision. AMC appoints the fund managers, their portfolio managers who indeed take care of the kind of securities in which further future mutual fund markets regularly invests. Also, asset management company further appoints an RTA. RTA is a basically agency, registrar agency, which does all the clerical work, including processing of the applications and related necessary works which are particularly required as per the regulations of SEBI to be conducted well before making a person enter into a mutual fund scheme business. So guys, that was a holistic kind of structure, how that's a broad horizon, how a mutual fund works and how it is regulated, how the schemes are regulated by SEBI and their structure in India. So let's discuss about other regulations which are either important by SEBI on mutual funds. These are the extremely important regulations which have been provided by SEBI on mutual funds, and in order to ensure the transparency in the kind of methods, all these regulations have to be necessarily complied. The sponsor or board of trustees should appoint a SEBI registered custodian for sales, security and custody of assets of mutual fund. The sponsor, the board of trustees, should also appoint a registrar to handle the registry work which is being done on behalf of the unit holders of mutual fund. In share market, it is called shareholders. The one who purchases the mutual scheme, they are called as unit holders. Schemes are required to be approved before launching by board of trustee, and a copy of the same has to be filed with SEBI along with the requisite fees. So guys, in order to ensure before launching any kind of scheme, it should be approved by the board of trustees and a copy should be filed with SEBI along with the requisite filing fees. Apart from that, the offer document should also contain such disclosures which are adequate in order to enable the investors to make informed judgment. Also, one has to ensure that the advertisements issued by mutual fund should not at all be misleading. It should not contain any incorrect or false statement. Also, a mutual fund scheme should not at all invest more than 15% of its NAV in debt instruments issued by a single issuer which are rated below investment grade by any credit agency approved by SEBI. Apart from that, no mutual fund under its all schemes should own more than 10% of a company's voting right shares. And also, the initial issue expenses in respect of any closed-ended scheme may not exceed 6% of the funds issued and raised under that scheme. Such expenses, guys, should be amortized on weekly basis over the life of the scheme. So for all that matter, apart from that, the proper accounts should be maintained and are regularly audited. Financial year should be followed as accounting year. Scheme-wise annual report should be sent to the investors duly insured. That should be an audited one. A copy of the same should be sent to SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, within 6 months from the end of financial year. So guys, those were the important regulations which are being involved in mutual fund business, and these regulations have been set up by Securities Exchange Board of India to keep an eye on how mutual funds are actually working in their country. So now let's move. Also, investment limits should be issued by SEBI, needs to be strictly followed in any way that is pretty obvious. Let's move on to the next topic, and that is, what is asset management company? So guys, a company which is registered with SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, to work as an asset management company can be appointed as AMC to manage the investments of mutual fund. So what are those conditions which are required to be fulfilled in order to ensure that one becomes an asset management company? Number one, the minimum net worth of that company should be more than or equal to rupees 10 crore. Apart from that, it should have good reputation in the market. Directors should be knowledgeable about the capital markets. They need to have the detailed understanding about how the schemes are functioning in the capital markets. And at least 50% of the directors of that company should be independent. They should have the unbiased judgment kind of a thing, and nobody is going to vouch out for their independence. So at least 50% of those directors should be independent in any case. Also, apart from that, chairman of asset management company should not be the trustee of mutual fund trust, because that is going to affect the transparency in the system, and there might be a chance that someday he may go for any kind of malpractice or a biasness regarding the same. So one has to ensure that the chairman of AMC should not be at all the trustee of the mutual fund trust. They both are the separate kind of legal entities and they should remain like that. So that was the topic relating to asset management company, guys. I guess you got the entire clarity about the structure as well as how the mutual fund schemes work and regulated by SEBI, along with how and what is asset management company. Now let's jump on to another topic of ours today, that is role of mutual funds in financial markets. So guys, mutual funds are important segments in any kind of financial market. Mutual funds channelize the savings and invest in financial markets, primarily in capital markets and money markets. Ordinary investors have neither time nor skill to recognize the investment opportunity. Here comes the mutual funds into the picture. They are the right persons, they are the right mutual fund managers are the right person to make an ordinary investor recognize the great investment opportunity where they can have good returns. So mutual funds on behalf of these investors make use of investment opportunities to earn attractive returns. And there have been like many instances where we can have their kind of relationship between mutual funds and householding savings, mutual funds and capital markets, mutual funds and money markets. Let's discuss about what is the relationship between mutual funds and household savings. Savings are being encouraged when one finds safe and proper channels for investments. We all know about that. So mutual funds have actually encouraged the savings by providing such channels. In the absence of mutual funds, the household savings would have been at a very low levels. So now one doesn't have to need for any other kind of botherance now anymore, and one can simply put up the idle money which is available with one in the mutual fund schemes for that matter. Let's talk about the relationship between mutual funds and capital market. So guys, mutual funds constitute one of the most important segments of capital market. Mutual funds provide unit holders with liquidity. It results in welcoming a large portion of household savings into capital markets. Mutual funds reduces the volatility of capital markets. Mutual funds actually help in controlling the unwarranted crash in the capital market. Corporate debt market in India survives just mainly due to the mutual funds. With large funds under their management, actually mutual funds strongly support the capital market. Their action based on the intelligent decisions reduces the volatility in the markets. Many times it has been seen that the actions of mutual funds have helped in controlling the unwarranted crash in the capital market. On other occasions as well, their actions have controlled the unreasonable increase in prices. Corporate debt market in India survives mainly due to these mutual funds. And there are major investors of debt issues, particularly of long-term maturities. So guys, that was the kind of relationship a mutual fund shares with capital market. Though this question has never been asked in the CA final examination, but I wanted to give the entire clarity about these aspects as well, because they consist of almost practical exposure which can be provided to you guys each and every time. So also let's discuss about the relationship between mutual funds and the money market. So guys, money market is also an important part in a financial market. Money market mutual funds generally provide high returns and higher safety to ordinary investors. Money markets mutual fund schemes channelize the ideal short funds to those who require such funds. Short-term requirements of various firms can be easily met by mutual funds. So guys, mutual funds actually plays a very important part for that matter. Such schemes usually invest in safe and highly liquid instruments, including the commercial paper, certificate of deposits, and government securities. So money market schemes can generally provide high return and highest kind of safety which an ordinary investor usually expects. Money market mutual funds are extremely active players in the money market, and they channelize those ideal short funds, particularly of the corporate world, to those who require such funds. This process actually helps in taking account of ideal funds to earn some income so that they can ensure earning that income without any kind of risk and with surety that they will be made available the required funds as and when they require them. They will get those at the right time. So short-term and emergency requirements of various firms are being met by such mutual funds, and the participation of such mutual funds regularly provides a boost to the money market and helps in controlling the volatility. Apart from that, there is a relationship between mutual funds as well as the corporate finance too. So corporations usually require higher amount of funds for their working. Mutual funds provide these funds sometimes directly by way of participation in the public offers and private placements, and at other times indirectly by being the important part of capital and money markets. So guys, that was all about the role of mutual funds in financial markets, the kind of relationship that mutual funds have with household saving, with capital markets, with money market and corporate finance. I hope you enjoyed this topic as well. So now let's jump onto another topic of ours today, and that is rights of a mutual fund investor. When comes mutual fund, there also comes some rights and some obligations which are being enjoyed and taken care of by the investors. So let's discuss about the rights of mutual fund investors first. So to receive the unit certificates, that is the first right for any kind of investor. They have a right to receive unit certificates or system statement of accounts on a regularly basis. Also, they have a right to receive a copy of annual statement. Investors do have a right to receive dividend. They have a right to receive the communication from trustee about the change in any scheme, any kind of change. They should be having that kind of communication. Apart from that, they have a right to inspect the documents of mutual funds at any time they wish to in working hours of the company. Apart from that, they have a right to receive the beneficial ownership of schemes. They have a right to inspect the major documents as and when they require. So guys, these were the rights which one enjoys. So they have a right to receive the unit certificates, statement of accounts confirming the title like within 30 days from the date of closure of the subscription under open-ended schemes, and within 6 months, 6 weeks actually, from the date of request for a unit certificate received by the mutual fund. They also have a right to receive the information regarding the investment policies, investment objectives, investment financial position, their general affairs of the scheme. They have a right to receive the dividend within 30 days from their declaration and receive the redemption and repurchase proceeds within 10 days from the date of redemption or repurchase. They also have a right to vote in accordance with the regulations to change the asset management company or wind up the schemes. Apart from them, they also have a right to receive the communication from trustee about the change of fundamental attributes of any scheme, any other changes which would modify the scheme or would affect the interest of investors, and to have that kind of option to exit at the prevailing net asset value without any kind of exit load. So these were like the major rights about how a mutual fund investor usually gets benefit from mutual fund schemes, and these are the rights which they exercise. So now let's move on to our next topic regarding fund of funds. So guys, what is fund of fund? Fund of fund is a mutual fund that invests in other mutual schemes rather than investing in shares or debt instruments. There are having like come across of the instances where a mutual fund usually invests in another mutual fund without investing in directly into shares or debenture instruments. So this procedure is actually called fund of funds, where a mutual fund does invest in other mutual fund schemes rather than investing in share market or debt instrument. Fund of fund is best for an ordinary investor who is short of expertise as well as time. So guys, Kotak Flexi Fund of fund is an example to this kind of mutual fund scheme regime. Apart from that, the concept of FOF, though it is not very popular in India, but surely, slowly and gradually it is going to take up the hype, and someday most of the companies may introduce the schemes in the market relating to fund of funds for that matter. So guys, that was all about the topic of fund of funds. So guys, basically a fund of fund is a mutual fund that invests in other mutual fund schemes rather than investing directly into the shares or debt instruments. Fund of fund is basically one of the best kind of option which is available for ordinary investors who are really short of expertise as well as time. And as we already discussed, Kotak Flexi Fund of Funds is a prime example to that. Though this concept currently is not very much popular in India, but definitely it is going to get popular sooner or later with the growing scenarios and time. So with this, let's move forward to our next concept, and that is NAV. So guys, what is NAV? That stands for net asset value. So NAV of any mutual scheme is the current value of all assets net of its liabilities. So whatever the assets are included in the balance sheet of the company, net of its liabilities will denote the net asset value for that mutual fund company. We'll be dividing that particular amount with the number of outstanding units of that scheme, and hence we'll be able to get the entire NAV per unit. NAV per unit represents the amount which the holder of one unit will get if such scheme is dissolved or liquidated. Mostly in the scenarios of major mutual fund companies like LLVs, angel broking, and etc., their analysts usually use this NAV to find the return on schemes. So this particular NAV is basically the value per unit of a scheme on a particular day, which is actually called the valuation day. It is the value of net assets of the fund. It changes daily as its components. That is the value of securities, units, expenses change every day. Same goes with the NAV of the product. The investors usually have this kind of subscription, and this is treated as the capital in the balance sheet of the fund, and the investments on their behalf are treated as their assets. So using a formula which I'll be sharing with you in the next slide, we can easily compute the NAV of a particular scheme on a particular day. Since these kind of investments are usually marked to market, the value of investments for computing NAV will be at market value. As per SEBI and RBI regulations and guidelines, mutual funds should recognize the gains only and only if it is realized. I'll be repeating, guys. The investments for computing NAV are usually at market value, and as per the RBI and SEBI guidelines, the mutual fund should recognize the gains only if the same are realized. NAV of a mutual fund is published daily in the newspapers and electronic media as well, and it actually plays a very important role for the investors to have their decision of buying or selling those units. And in that sense, these analysts use NAV to find the return on schemes as well. So once an NAV is known, the following changes usually happen, and that comes from the effect of calculation of next day's NAV, the change in the value of securities which are held by them based on its market price. Plus, we'll be adding to that the profits on the sale of other securities. We'll be deducting the losses if the same are realized in case of selling of securities. Plus, we'll be adding the receipt of any kind of dividend or interest, and the scheme's recurring expenses including the investment management, advisory fees, trustee fees. These has to be deducted at all the times, along with the service tax which is usually paid on management fees. So guys, that was all about NAV, what NAV particularly stands for and what is their function. So let's calculate what is NAV. So NAV will first have the market value of all the traded listed securities, the securities which are being listed and daily trading is going on with that kind of securities. We'll have the market value of first them. We'll be adding to them the estimated value of non-traded listed securities. This is extremely crucial, guys. Estimated value of non-traded listed securities, it's a bit difficult to analyze and compute, but it is an extremely important factor to calculate an NAV. Plus, we'll be having the estimated value of unlisted securities, the kind of securities which are not listed on stock exchange. Plus, we'll be adding to that the liquid assets are cash, any kind of cash and cash equivalents which are available with the company has to be added. Plus, we'll be adding to that the accrued dividend or interest, whichever kind of dividend or interest the company is expecting to receive from other companies. We'll be deducting the accrued expenses from the same and other liabilities which are being involved in such cases. We'll have to deduct these two components in order to find out the overall NAV. The most important, as said, the most important part of calculation of NAV is the valuation of non-traded listed securities and unlisted securities, guys. we'll be discussing about the calculation of NEB and the related examples for that at the end of our chapter while concluding the same in our forthcoming presentation, because those will be the questions which have already been asked in CA final examinations and you'll love to solve them with me. So with this, I'll be winding up my video with a dose of motivation, and that is, go on, do it now. So guys, don't waste your time. Time is extremely precious. Try taking on the actions day in, day out, because if you are not taking actions, regular actions, definitely you are wasting your time and talent. And in order to achieve something in your life, you have to set goals for that matter with timeline, that you will have to achieve those goals within those timelines. Only then you can be sure of one thing, that you will be achieving success in your life. Don't waste your time. Go ahead, do it now. With this, I would like to thank you on behalf of Edupedia World. Keep interacting, guys. Keep throwing your questions on us via comment boxes, which are available in the YouTube channel as well. And certainly stay connected for that matter, because this journey has already begun, and certainly we'll have to go through this entire journey together. So that is going to help us and know you better, understand your needs better, and that will help us and serve you in a better way. Thank you so much, guys. Love you all. Take care. Bye.